maulan na gabi sa lahat ng makikinig ngayon. Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. So, andito na tayo sa chapter 2. Chapter 2. What women need most and men really want. Sino ba talagang gusto natin? Alamin natin. The women who attend my relationship seminars are always amazed by the fact that half the audience is composed of men. They find it hard to believe, but men really are seeking ways to make women happy and are just as interested as women in improved relationships. The problem is that their traditional ways of doing so aren't getting through to the women. If problems arise at home, the traditional male approach to solving them is to become more successful at work. If a relationship is troubled, a traditional man doesn't take a seminar or purchase a book on relationships. He takes a course or buys a book on business or success. Why? Because from time immemorial, a man could always make his partner happier by being a better provider. In hunter-gatherer days, this arrangement worked out fine. It worked well enough even for our fathers. For us, however, it doesn't work at all. Today's wives do not leave husbands because they're not being provided for. They leave because they are emotionally and romantically unfulfilled. When a man does not understand a woman's new needs, it is inevitable that she will be unfulfilled. This increased dissatisfaction is also what turns men off. Husbands do not leave wives because they no longer love them. They leave because they can't make them happy. Generally speaking, a man gives up on a relationship when he feels powerless to succeed in fulfilling his partner. Such shared frustration is common because men do not understand women's needs and women do not understand what men really want or how to give it to them. By understanding how circumstances have changed for both sexes, we can gain the insight and compassion necessary to master new approaches to mutually supportive relationship. Why modern women are unhappy? Modern women are overworked, overstressed, and commonly feel unsupported and overwhelmed with good reason. At no other time in history has so much been expected of them. At least 5 days a week, they put on a uniform and march into an 8 to 12-hour battle. When they come home, they feel the need to clean house, make dinner, do laundry, love and nurture the kids, and also be pleasing and happy as well as romantically receptive to their mates. It's just too much to ask of themselves, and it's making them feel split inside. At work, women are required to behave according to the traditional Women are required to behave according to the traditional masculine rules of conduct. At home, they have to switch to being warm, giving, and feminine. It's no wonder women complain that they need a wife to greet them with love and tenderness at the end of the day. Even a contemporary stay-home mother has a more difficult job than her own mother did because, with most of other mothers at work and her kids' playmates at daycare, she lacks the traditional company and support of other women. In the past, a woman was proud to say that she was full-time wife and mother. Now she may even feel embarrassed when asked, "What do you do?" Isolated from the support of other women, she must go it alone, as the value of her commitment is largely acknowledged by the world. Still, while women now need more support than at any other time in history, men also miss the ego boost they traditionally receive from their mates. Why men are dissatisfied? Modern men feel underpaid, defeated, and unappreciated. Like women, they are experiencing the toll that a two-career marriages takes. Years ago, when a man returned to a stay-home wife, she could easily show him how much she appreciated his efforts and sacrifices. Happy to care for him because she wasn't stressed out, she asked relatively little in return. Now, abruptly, the home as a male comfort base is under siege. At no time in history have relationships been as difficult for men as now. Many men work just as hard as their forefathers, perhaps even harder, but still can't manage to be their family's sole support. Deprived of the strong sense of self that being a sole provider will bring him. On a deep emotional and sometimes unconscious level, he easily feels defeated when his partner seems unhappy or unfulfilled. A man's primary goal. When a man loves a woman, his primary goal is to make her happy. Through history, men had endured the competitive and hostile world of work because at the end of the day, the struggles and efforts were justified by a woman's appreciation. In a very real sense, his mate's fulfillment was the reward that made a man's labor worthwhile. Today, because women are overworked, they often and understandably feel unfulfilled. Now, at a long day's end, both she and her mate are looking for love and appreciation. I work as hard as he does, she tells herself. Why is it my responsibility to appreciate him? Exhaustion now prevents her from giving her man the emotional support he knows he has earned. To him, her unhappiness signals that he is a failure. Why should I bother to do more? He asks himself. I'm appreciated for what I do already. The harmful effects of this relative new pattern are greatly underestimated by both women and men. When a modern man returns home, he generally faces defeat instead of victory. His partner's unhappiness signals that he is a failure. What makes women happy? Years ago, when women were full-time homemakers, a woman enjoyed the support of other women throughout the day. She could break up her tasks and relax by talking while giving and receiving in the spirit of cooperation, not competition. She had the luxury of unstructured time to create beauty in her home, garden, and community. She cared for others and they cared for her. This daily routine was conducive to nurturing her feminine spirit and the love in her heart. Her caring relationships gives meaning to her existence and supported her through life's inevitable crises. Women were not expected to shoulder the double burden of nurturing relationships and providing for the family. Men were happy to provide and able to be sole providers, leaving their partners free to perform their tasks while creating and sustaining loving relationships. In the competitive and hard-driving male-dominated workforce of today, this emphasis on relationship is greatly missing. And for the first time in history, women are being forced to do without the support of being in a nurturing and feminine environment. Imitation, imitation men. One woman in my seminar expressed her feelings in this way. I feel like an imitation man. Women in the workforce have no female role models for success. I don't know how a woman can be expected to be strong and assertive and feminine at the same time. I'm losing touch with whom I really am. When women spend their days behaving in traditional masculine rules, it is tremendously difficult to remain feminine, working on a very structured timetable, making decisions based primarily on the bottom line and not people's feeling, giving orders when there is no time to share the decision making, calculating strategic moves to protect herself from attack, creating alliance based solely on profit margins and not on friendship, investing time and energy for personal gain rather than other benefit. All contribute to the impoverishment of the feminine soul. The work world does nothing to nourish the female spirit and is dramatically affecting the quality of the intimate relationships. Women at work and at home. Women are affected much more adversely than men by carrying stress. Women, for the pressures of work outside the home, have doubled their load. On the job, they give as much as men do, but when they get home, instinct takes over and they continue giving. It is hard for a woman to come home, forget the problems of the day, and relax when her programming says, cook more, clean more, love more, share more, nurture more, give more, do more. In the office, a woman is motivated to strike by a conscious need to survive, but at home, her instinct drive her. Think of it. Tasks that used to fill a woman's whole day must now be done in a few hours. Along with providing, there is just not enough time, support, or energy to fulfill her biological yearnings for a beautiful, peaceful home and a loving, harmonious, and healthy family. She feels overwhelmed by too much to do. Whether this instinct comes from biology or from watching and identifying with her mother while growing up, they can be very strong. Many times these pressures increase when a woman begins planning for children or has children. While these feelings and pressures are self-induced, they are based on modern physical realities our mother didn't have to deal with and their efforts to create a home and family. It is not only essential for women to learn new ways of coping, but for men to learn new ways to support their partners. Men at work and at home. Through history, men could tolerate the stresses of the outside world because they would return home to a nurturing and loving woman. All day the male was goal-oriented, but come evening he either relaxed, played, or waved and was waited on with love. What he didn't have to do was continue working to win his partner's favor. When a modern woman shares his feeling of having to do too much, a man generally hears it as a blame for not doing enough or as an order to do more. Neither message is agreeable to his nature, which is telling him, okay, you're home, relax and reap the rewards of your labor. For men, the home has traditionally been a vacation spot. For women, it is a major hub of activity. Giving requires receiving. Men are wired to give their all to work, then come home and receive. To a great extent, women are built to give and receive at the same time. They love to give but need to be fueled simultaneously. When they give without receiving, they tend to give more and eventually feel overwhelmed, empty, and resentful. It follows that a woman who spends her day in a competitive, masculine workplace does not get the emotional support she would if she were in a more feminine, nurturing environment. She gives and gives at her job but doesn't receive validation and support. She comes home burnout, but instead of relaxing, she continues to give. This is an important difference between men and women. When a man is tired, he will generally have a strong tendency to forget his problems and rest and relax. If he is not getting the support he needs, then he will tend to stop giving more. If he gives at work without getting back, then particularly when he gets home, he feels ready to relax and receive for a while or at least take some time for himself. On the other hand, when a woman feels unsupported, she feels responsible for doing more and begins to think of or worry about all the problems she doesn't have the energy to solve. The more overwhelmed she feels, the more difficult it is for her to relax and put off the chores that just can't be done and really don't have to be done right away. When she feels overwhelmed, it is difficult for her to determine what really needs to be done and what can wait. In some cases, the expectation the expectations her mother had about how a home should be kept instinctively come into play. The more overwhelmed or unsupported she feels, the more this instinct comes up. In a subconscious way, she may be trying to live up to the standards of housekeeping and entertaining that were appropriate back when every wife was a homemaker and had the time and energy to do it all. Particularly when a woman working when a particularly when a working woman can afford outside help or chores at home, she may begin to feel that she is just not doing enough. Instinctively, she feels that she has to do more, yet realistically, she can't do it all. It is though she is gripped by out-of-date social programming that expects her to do it at home. In some cases, just as a woman feels responsible for doing it all at home, a man is socially programmed to feel that it is all her responsibility. Just as it is difficult for her to relax and do less, it is equally difficult for him to find the energy to help out. Understanding this pattern can bring more compassion between the sexes. A man's programming assures his job is done when he returns home while hers is pushing her to do more. Scott and Sally. Scott works full-time to support his family while Sally, his wife, works part-time, balancing her roles as a mother and homemaker. When Scott returns home, he seems to ignore her unless she asks for something, and then he seems to be a little irritated by her request. Then when she distances herself from him at dinner, he doesn't understand why. When asked about her feelings, she says, I resent that he doesn't even ask me about my day or care about me. He doesn't even offer to help me. He sits on the couch while I do everything for him. Scott says, I sit on the couch to relax from my day. If I ask her about her day, all I hear is that she does too much and that I should do more. I need to relax when I get home. I don't need another boss. If she is doing too much, then she should just do less. Sally says, and you think I don't need to relax from my day? I can't relax. Someone has to make dinner, clean house, and take care of these kids. Why can't you do more or at least value what I do? Scott then looks at me and says, see? In that one word he means see, this is why I don't listen to her when I get home. If I did, she would have me doing more and more. I can't open myself to that. Sally resents the fact that her partner doesn't offer his help, while Scott is turned up because he gets the message that what he has done is not enough. On the other hand, she wants to feel seen, cared for, and supported, while on the other hand, he wants to feel acknowledged and appreciated for his work with the recognition that he earned the right to relax in his home. The solution to this problem is to first recognize that no one is wrong or to blame. Then through applying new skills, the part the pattern can be changed. Scott suggesting that Sally do less is like telling a river to stop running, giving in an innate expression of the loving female nature. What women today need most is not to curb their loving tendencies, but to receive more nurturing in their relationships with men. To, speak Scott, to expect Scott suddenly to have the energy to do more or equally unrealistic. That would be like telling a river to switch directions. By understanding what both really need, a new solution begins to emerge and come into focus. As we will see, men and women can learn new skills in communicating that require very little from men and provide a lot for women. Both partners can learn to practice new skills that don't require more effort but result in feelings of emotional support for the woman and appreciation for the man. As a woman feels more emotionally supported in the relationship, she will find a peaceful center within herself where she is not so driven to do more. She will gain a more relaxed perspective of what can or can't be done and what really has to be done in light of her limited resources of time and energy. Likewise, as a man begins to feel more appreciated when he returns home, slowly but surely he will have more energy in the home as well. More important, he will immediately be able to give his partner the empathy and understanding she needs to continue being able to give of herself. Contemporary women do not need to curb their loving impulses. They need more nurturing in their relationship with men. So maybe for now, ano muna tayo? Mag-stop muna tayo kasi ang lakas ng ulan dito sa amin. Hindi natin kailangan kong lakasan yung boses ko para mas lalong marinig. Kaya for now, tutulog muna tayo and feel relaxed. Nakapagbasa rin naman tayo ng mga ilang pages. So, ipupuntinyo na lang natin this the next day. Feel relaxed. So, yun nga, kailangan talaga pala na kailangan pala talaga maging balance. And then, yun nga yung character ng isang babae. Parang warrior. Parang laging namumblema. Pinoproblema ang mga hindi kailangan pang para sa kanya mga importante pero parang hindi rin. Mga ganun. So, let's learn and learn and learn and take an action of what we learn. So, sa ngayon, matutulog tayo para beautiful. Good night!